So what does St. Paul Boma mean to me?
What does Boma mean to me?
What does Boma mean to me?
Boma to me was a place to meet your fellow managers in real estate, community members, and express our concerns.
St. Paul Boma to me is really about the relationships. I've made so many key, awesome relationships that have really excelled my career.
It's a group of people that I think try and put the interests and the benefit of the whole in front of the individual person, be it a vendor or be it a building manager themselves.
Boma means business. It means networking. It means opportunities.
I look to Boma as an organization where I can not only connect with my peers, but also find other resources and to help me be better at what I do.
It creates those coalitions and finds that middle ground between important stakeholders in the downtown community so that the entire ecosystem that is downtown can prosper and thrive.
I've made a lot of friends with Boma. People that you never would, that wouldn't necessarily have ever come in contact with if not for Boma. And the things that we can share back and forth as far as resources has made all of our lives a lot easier.
What we have found is it takes leadership to get these kinds of projects done.
Right. One of the great achievements I think that Boma has is the effort to create a district energy system in St. Paul.
Door opened up and in walked a guy by the name of Watson Davidson, owner of the Pioneer Midwest Endicott. What are you doing for lunch? I said, I don't know. Let's go to the athletic club. We went over there and we started talking about this thing called district energy. And he put it in proper perspective, because I said, well, what is that? He said, walk through downtown St. Paul when we get done, and you're going to notice these 55-gallon drums going up, and there's going to be smoke, which is really steam coming out of them. And it ended up that he looked at me after about 3 meetings, and he said, I want to see district energy on the face of the earth. Do you understand me? Yes, sir.
Mayor George Latimer led this effort. Bill Buth, as the president of St. Paul Boma, was a big help and did a lot of lobbying.
Those of us who got a C in science didn't get it at first. The beauty of district energy is that you can feed the energy part by wood burning, garbage, solar, which they're moving toward now.
We did some solar right
Exactly.
now. We had to go to each building owner. Sometimes we didn't for sure who owned the building. Remember that? But anyway, we went to each building and had to sell them on it. It was like salespeople coming to the door.
And that became a reality in 1979. And then in, I think it was 1993, district energy added cooling. And today, St. Paul boasts that they have the largest district energy system in North America.
So there's been numerous communities that have come to this community and looked at the relationship with the customers. They want to talk to the customers. What's the customer experience like? And how did you put this business together, both technically, the governance, the contracts, all of it, and then try to model it. It's been an inspiration to many, many communities.
And the building that I managed, Lawson Commons, now Infor Commons, which achieved LEED status. And I think a big help to achieving that status, as we went through all those steps, was the district energy.
Skyways need to have the police patrolling it. So I went up to the chief at that time, and he wasn't really enamored with what I was saying. But I always had the feeling of lead follower, get out of my way. So I happened to go over to City Hall and talked with the mayor, and it wasn't too long after that the Skyway Beat Patrol started.
Many of the downtown beat officers are assigned to the Skyways, and watching it grow from those 2 officers to a commander, 2 sergeants, and 24 officers, building the relationship that is so critical. I talk about the bank of trust is so important, and every time we have positive interaction with a community member downtown, a business or a worker, it's another deposit into the bank of trust which we have as our foundation of everything we do within the St. Paul Police Department.
The best way to attack all of the various needs of any association is to break it up into committees. It allows people to focus on the areas that are most important to them or most important to their building.
We needed to have an important assessment of downtown public safety and the vulnerability assessment of our environment downtown.
We knew that DID or some other similar type of tool might be part of that ultimate package.
As well as an extensive fundraising project, which culminated with, in 2018 with the hiring of Rosen Security. And that, of course, culminated or led to the security study and recommendations, which were published in 2019.
As I reflect back, if we were to see what exists today with the Downtown Alliance and with the DID, I think those 5 or 10 or 15 of us back then would probably smile and say, yeah, that's what we envisioned.
And one of the groups that's been very productive, I think, is the Education Committee.
It's really, I feel, an important part of what we do. We line up all of the content for the monthly meetings and the BECs and all the educational events.
Of course, climate change is all the news again, and always will be here as we go forward, I think. But back in 2013, I think we were the first Boma chapter in the country that actually ran a program on the topic. So kind of an industry leader at the St. Paul level, but on a national scope also.
I remember being very thankful that Boma and their partner, the Science Museum of Minnesota, were bold enough to just address the topic. And I really, really appreciated that.
I think people need to understand that AEDs around the country are something that really began with Boma St. Paul years and years ago.
It's a piece of equipment that saves lives. And St. Paul Boma single-handedly moved that issue forward, nationally and internationally.
The Aed Initiative started when Pat Wolf and Bill Buth had gone to the international meeting, and they had talked with a vendor there, saw someone with a defibrillator.
So there was a lady standing there, and she had this contraption, and I said, "What is that?" She said, it's an AED. I said, XYZ? She said, no, it's an AED, automated external defibrillator. I said, what does it do? She said, it stops people from dying if they're having a heart attack by advanced technology for these machines. I said, I want all the information that you can supply to me before I leave, and I got 3 more days left at the convention. I got back in town, and I went to one of my staff members, and I said, we're going to have this now.
It became a passion for Bill and the members there up in St. Paul, brought it to Boma International and the local associations around the country, and over the course of a year and a half, convinced people that we really needed to get behind mandating AEDs in buildings.
What do we ever do to say thank you to the tenants who are in downtown St. Paul?
The tenant appreciation event. It was the biggest party St. Paul ever had.
Shut down a couple of main streets and we'll have a party.
And we had free pizzas and soda.
The marching band was going to be there with the football team.
And also their cheerleaders, and the tenants from all the buildings would come streaming in. And it was 2 hours of a blast. We just had such an awesome time.
Well, I've always felt that Boma should also be fun. The golf tournament was kind of one of the highlights of the fun part. Whether you're a good golfer, bad golfer, or a first-time golfer, you're accepted.
St. Paul Boma's annual golf tournament has turned into one of the premier golf events for professional networking groups in the Twin Cities.
Boma, from the time I first became involved with, as I said, mid to late 60s, and for many years thereafter, was a group of men, mostly older men, not always, but mostly older men. And some of them worked for management companies, but unlike some cities, a lot of the buildings in downtown St. Paul were owner managed. So there weren't a lot of the professional management companies downtown at that time. That changed over the years. More professional management companies became involved, but also we started to have women involved. And the organization was much, much improved for those changes.
Boma, in those early years, could have been referred to as the Bald Old Men's Association, but it really was the Building Owners and Managers Association. But we sometimes kidded around because there might have been some truth to that acronym. But at any rate, very few women were involved, and I was a young woman to boot. So it was really an organization that I was in awe of and in some ways afraid of the members because there was such an age difference and a gender difference.
It was sort of like a fraternity of owners and managers, and we had respect for each other.
You know, for the most part, I was welcomed into the organization, and it probably helped that I worked for a person who was passionate about the organization.
There was a developing need for building owners to start looking at the issues. And little by little, the group came together. We had some new investors, had some new property management firms, and Boma 2.0 came into being. The driving force, really, in that, according to my recollection, was Gene Ranconi, who had just completed what was then known as the Northern Federal Building on Wabasha. And he was frustrated that St. Paul building owners and business people generally downtown didn't really have an advocacy group.
I had a lot of great memories on the Boma board, and the summer trips Bill would take us on the St. Croix, and with a lot of good guys, Mike Julius, and people that were involved in downtown St. Paul, Bob Engelson. And, I mean, they're just a raft that I can't think of right now, but you know, Boma was critical because it was probably the only real professional organization that represented building owners in downtown St. Paul.
The collaborative conversations were the ones that really were outstanding, where we had Securian at the table, and we had many other, Pat Wolf and many other really, I would say, luminaries of Boma. Then it was Julio Fesser from Securian. And those collaborations were integral to the success of all of our properties. And I think were integral to the success of downtown St. Paul. Bill was kind of an icon. He'd been with Boma for many, many years, knew the ins and the outs of everything. And when I served as chair of the Boma board, it was invaluable to have he and his staff available. He knew just about everything about downtown St. Paul.
Bill Buth was a workaholic when it came to St. Paul Boma and promoting us. He was ever present at council meetings, ever present at the county commissioner meetings.
Bill was such a passionate advocate for St. Paul. He really upped our game in advocacy on a nationwide basis.
Anything that I accomplished, it was with the success of and the involvement of members, board of directors, friends, etc. And that being given, we accomplished a whole heck of a lot.
He was also a pleasure to work with. He has a great sense of humor, and he's always helpful, and he always returned my calls on the same day.
He was just a positive person.
I probably made some enemies, but when I came on board, there was a job that needed to be done.
Bill Buth invited me up to lunch at the Carousel, and we had a very nice lunch, and he went over what's expected of a board member, and he did a good selling job, and then he stuck me with the bill.
You could see the passion in his whole demeanor, and obviously over time found that he lived and breathed it.
I took a good hard look at Boma and me, and discovered that I just wanted to be part of the group. I've always felt that if Boma succeeded, the associate members would succeed, and that came to be true.
You know, the satisfaction of sitting in the office late at night or up at the legislature when they cancel something and it's going to happen the next day and then it's got canceled and you spent 10, 12, 14 hours up there. Use that in order to meet lots of people, places and things. And, you know, communication with them gave me the understanding that there wasn't a better job in the whole world.
The Minnesota Coalition is extremely important, we feel, again, because it provides one voice, and that's really important. As a legislator, they want to hear what's important to everybody, and so we can say this is important to us in Duluth, as well as Minneapolis and Rochester, real estate taxes, building codes, so whatever you name it, almost everything is really statewide, a statewide issue.
Because of the nature of our industry, what affects commercial real estate in Bemidji and Rochester, St. Paul, Minneapolis, and so on, will affect all parts of the state. So we listen to what issues are coming from different regions, and together we kind of talk through what are those that we should address during the legislative session.
You know, as a family of people that look out for each other, I think that try and support each other and help each other any way they can in business.
Boma has established standards, you know, Class A, Class B, Class C, you know, standard building measurement size, you know, how we measure for square footage. Having those things standardized across the board, across the city, across the state, across the country.
You meet so many people in our line of business, including all the vendors, and being able to visit with them and develop really long-term associations.
It's been the most awesome job for me. It gives me the flexibility I needed for my family, but I get to do something that's really important and help St. Paul out.
Through Boma, I've been able to be a part of putting forth the image and branding of the organization. I've been involved in a lot of different projects. I enjoy the in-person membership events when we can do them. I love working on the website and social media and the newsletter.
It's friendly, it's family, it's not stuffy. That's what makes us special and that's what makes us unique.
I really think the strength of the organization is in its people. It's a community of people, and a community of people that represent not only building owners, but building managers and all the different levels that are involved in managing a property, along with a very dedicated group of professional associates, corporate members, and others.
The vendors, the key government players, all your fellow property managers. It's easy to get to know that whole community in this city our size.
We're at a unique time. There's lots changing, a lot that's going to stay the same, and I think St. Paul Boma is well positioned to really lead the market in our region and see what comes next.
Our membership is strong and it's growing, and we need it to grow into the future, and the plans are in place to do that. So I'm really excited about where this organization is headed.
There's just something special about St. Paul Boma. The members, I've met lifelong friends at Boma, so it's been a wonderful experience.
The magic of the organization and the special sauce is really the people that make the difference and that are passionate about the issues and about continuing to move our industry forward.
And congratulations to St. Paul Boma on 50 years of serving all of you, the members of this fine organization.
And I would like to wish Greater St. Paul Boma a very happy 50th anniversary.
Congratulations, St. Paul Boma, on 50 years.
That group of people that had the foresight to think, let's see what we can do better collectively than we can do by ourselves, should be very proud of the transition over the last 50 years. And I wish Greater St. Paul Boma 50 more years of the same success.
Good wishes and all my congratulations for doing a great job with this organization. and accomplishing things that we would never have dreamed of 50 years ago.
You have a wonderful history, being great contributors to cars, have a rich history. Happy 50th.
Boma's accomplished a lot over the years. There's a lot that they have to do yet ahead of time, but I'm sure that they will be up to the challenge.
And I'd like to take this opportunity to wish Boma a happy 50th anniversary. We're so proud of your accomplishments.
Congratulations, St. Paul Boma. It's been a long, hard track record, but very successful. I congratulate you for the success that you've had for all of the citizens of St. Paul and primarily the commercial industrial property owners. Thank you.
Happy 50th anniversary, St. Paul Boma! Woo! Woo! Let magic happen! Woo!
Joe had indicated there's a $1,000 stipend that I was going to get. I'll see if it comes in the check. But
And I'd like to say this about your leader in the last several years, Mr. Joe Sparts. He brought, hold on here. He's one of the first projects I brought. And without doubt, what she's created,
we've got a president who's just an egomaniac.
I'm really glad that you put this together, even though it cost me a nap. My memory is coming right back. It must be the bar that got me.
And the work that you did as mayor, you just had a remarkable
We
team.
could dwell on that last one a lot more, but I know that politics are dirty. That's why I liked it so much. But the politics of it weren't bad either. During that period, I went to any of the pipe trades. I would say, "We're going to lay pipe from here up to Hibbing." I didn't know what we were going to do with the pipe, but and they went out cheer. So I called him directly, which is what you got to do when you got bad news. And I called him directly, and he's such a classy guy that years and years later, somebody was vilifying me for something else that I did wrong. And he said, and the guy said, Latimer, he'll smile at you and he'll stick a knife right into your back. And he said, no, I know George. And George would shake your hand and smile at you and stick it right in the front of your chest.
And that's his friend.
And I had to prove my Swedish heritage before they could.
Well, I didn't know that.
It explains a lot.
You wouldn't tell me that, for God's sake.
You're part Swede, that explains a lot. Yeah.
I'm German and Swede, so I was
As long
able
as you
to.
can say,
Not a lot of fun either way.
Yeah, well, you kept a lot of secrets from their general counsel.
That's right. But they do things right. Boring, yes, but right. Are you through yet?
We've been done a while.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You see, the tape is just.
We're too late for my nap and too early for my cocktail hour, so let's
Let's start with the cocktail first.